Those of you in the Zendo, please gather in front of the altar. And if you're not computer, please turn toward your computer screen. Unless your picture is not there, then you can take a nap, I suppose. Thank you for joining us, first of all. On this Wednesday. What day is it today? 23rd. Who's? Brothers. On those brothers' birthdays today. I doubt that he's listening, watching, but perhaps. So this evening's Dharma talk is titled The Power of Nothing. Power of Nothing. And so that comes from, well, several places, but one of the places that it comes from is a talk that Koben my teacher, gave a number of years ago. And of course, Koben has passed away in 2002. And his one of the things he says there is carried by this nothing, you reach an understanding that everything is what you are. Everything is what you are. Can you read the preamble to that? What comes before that in that book? And it's in
Odabang, it's an embracing mind.
Embracing Mind.
The Zen talks of Koben Aragawa. And it's in that chapter that we studied the beginning of during Ango,
Okay,
forgetting the self.
back in February.
So the paragraph is the fourth paragraph in. When you see a statue of Saint Mary holding her baby, it doesn't matter if you are a man or woman. After you observe it for a while, you become it. And then you know what you are holding. And if you see someone dancing, when you really feel that is a fantastic dance, actually you are dancing that dance. So the very important point here is that in order to form the sitting posture as you wish it, you create it. It is not only that which was taught to you, but it results from a somewhat deep wish to be in the meditative space. Nothing, in quotes, carried you to this posture, which is a chance to be alone in a pure sense, and it is ultimately simple. Carried by this nothing, you reach an understanding that everything is what you are.
Thank you. This is what you are. You are looking at it, but you might need to sit down and face the wall for several decades before that realization comes to the fore. In other words, until you actually see that everywhere you look, there isn't anything else. There's no one looking. There's no one looking at it. This is when you realize this is an illusion, and it's a very solid one. You cannot walk through walls. If you are an illusion and the wall is an illusion, there's no way the illusion can walk through the illusion of a wall because it's an illusion. That duality is not actually two. They're both the same. This is in the area of something that I talk to everyone about who will listen all the time. What you're looking for, you're looking at. It's just covered up. So I don't mean that just visually. I'm saying that what you're looking for in your mind stream, you, me, I, all of us cover it up with thoughts, ideas, opinions, concepts, projections. Whatever shows up, we don't want that. We want something else. So we look behind it, look around it, look through it, or try to take it apart, or try to see what that's about. We're on some kind of a journey to go somewhere else in the illusion. It's not incorrect as far as the illusion is concerned. It's exactly what you need to do. Your friends, neighbors, cohorts, and those in the same degree program will agree with you and will support you. Everything is always supporting you. Even in our community of the Sangha, the community is supporting you on this journey so that you can look. But the idea here is you look within, and you may have to look out for a while before you can begin to look within. Because if you look out here, but after you have looked within, eventually when you turn back out to look out here, you begin to see what this is. Because when you look in this way, you will not find anything. It might take a while before you look out here and don't find anything. If you think there's something out here, if you think there's somebody, something out here in front of you, the classical description of that is delusion. The interesting thing about it is when I say that, I'm also saying there's no one who's deluded. That's why the delusion is so difficult to see. We could think that we would see that this is unreal, but there's no one here to see that. So therefore you cannot accomplish this as something to see. Oh, I can see that everything's unreal. No, if that's showing up in your mind, you're probably tripping on something. I don't know what, doesn't matter. Anything that changes, it could be anything from acid to psilocybin to ayahuasca, all the way down the line. There's all kinds of drugs. I'm not against that. I don't particularly promote it either. Look at the original addiction, which is addiction to a self and addiction to an other that keeps the whole metaphor, the whole cosmos of me and that and me and that and this and those planets and this and the dirt out here and the lawn that needs to be mowed, keeps that going and makes it seem so incredibly real. You may never get away from the reality, the feeling of the reality of it, but it is possible that you could see that it's unreal and there never was anyone looking at anything and there was never anything to be seen. The classical wording for that, way before I got here, before any of us got here, is empty of other. It's empty of the feeling that there's something out there other, empty of that. It's not that the otherness isn't there, but it's an illusion, and you or me or we all are deluded by it. We're willing to torture ourselves and torture others to prove that we've got an axe to grind, something. We believe our thoughts and emotions. Even if you're pushing them away, that's still a kind of belief because you believe there's something that needs to be stopped or pushed away, or just don't need to think that. You need to stop doing that. Distract yourself into a Budweiser or something worse. Not wrong. Not incorrect. It's like something you shouldn't have a Budweiser. I can think of other brands I want to try. Again, it's still something I've been saying. I'm not making up new stuff here. I'm saying it over and over. If you've been listening to me for 3 months, 3 years or longer, saying it over and over and over again because I'm talking out of what I'm looking at. This is unreal. You don't have to change anything. You do not have to. Well, there's one thing you might want to try, consider. Grow up, big baby. You know who I'm talking about, right? Elijah. He's only 2 or 2.5. He used to grow up. Wait a minute. It's just a baby. I guess he didn't have to do that yet. What am I saying? I'm saying you don't have to be so childish about everything. Just because you have an axe to grind and you're trying to find someplace to grind it because your emotions are intense, take this as a meditator, as a student of the Buddha's Dharma, or perhaps you're even a student of this person. If you are, give me the benefit of the doubt here. Look at it. Don't add, don't put any condiments on that. That meal is served directly for you right out of your karma. If it shows up in your taste buds, in your nerve endings, in your thought, in your mind stream, in your consciousness, it's supposed to be there. It's not like, oh, it shouldn't be happening to me. Or the other way of doing it is saying that you wouldn't feel that way if it weren't for them or weren't for them. It's not that they aren't doing something that's totally irritating to you or nauseating. Of course they are. But that is the illusion. When we believe when we believe the illusion, we tend to fight with it or try to push it away or cover it up or accuse or it's just samsara. Circular. War and peace, war and peace, war and then peace. Politics of experience, constant churning. And how do we work with that? I'm not saying you shouldn't go out and hold up protest signs. Maybe you should. Maybe you should. Not against that at all. But I'm saying at the same time you're doing that, you might want to watch how much of your own hidden or submerged aggression is joining you in that protest. You're actually possibly adding to the conflict. Be aware. How do you do that? You have to observe how much you're not aware. You have to observe in your mind stream the rotating merry-go-round, or what's the other one? Ferris wheel. There's one more. Tilt-a-whirl. Can I think of anything more that goes around?
Carousel,
What?
carousel.
Yes, carousel. Thank you. Parasol. It goes around. Look at the circularity without interrupting it. Don't improve. Look at the negativity so that you get a complete full dose of the negativity rather than seeing part of the negativity and finding some formula over here or some technique for covering that up. Because you missed a whole lot of it. You succeeded at this for 3 months, 3 years. It's coming back. You can't just stop the rat. You got to see the tail. You got to see the whole situation. You have to see an entirety of it. And how will you know you see that? Well, it'll be gone. And what is gone at the same time? Probably your addiction to it. It will not be an event. It will not be success or a conclusion. Empty. Nothing. Every one of you who spent any time at all on the cushion know what it's like to sit for a long time and eventually not see much. Maybe you wouldn't call it nothing, but not much is happening. Sometimes that is experienced by having an hour go by when you've only really registered about 10 minutes, yet you are not falling asleep. It is not samadhi. It is not a jhana state. It is just consciousness. And it doesn't need a representation in terms of some kind of a conclusion other than consciousness only. Anything further about that you could read that was that Coben said, or someone said there in that gathering?
It's hard to just pick out one.
It's fine.
Section.
Question, yes.
Divine. What is the power of no thing?
Powers of no thing is to see that there is no thing. That when you look at, like he was using the dancer, or he was using the Christian image of I think it was Mother Mary holding the baby. When you see that you are that, then everything comes apart. It's empty of what is in front of you and full of what it actually is, which is you. It's like he was saying. What was his his words? I could come up with words for it, but I'd rather hear his words. You are everything.
Carried by this nothing, you reach an understanding that everything is what you are.
Everything is what you are. Everywhere you look, you see yourself. It's not particularly an aha. It's just that it's ordinary. As the Tibetans say, Tamogishepa, ordinary mind. It's so ordinary that if you're wrapped up in passion, aggression, and ignorance, you will miss it. Ordinary mind is there all the time. That's why they call it ordinary. That's why it's called ordinary. But that's the area, the ordinary mind, not the mind that's looking and snooping around and trying to get to ultimate something or other, or some kind of special situation. If you want that, you might as well just use drugs or something. It'll give you some kind of special thing. And it's not saying that meditation practice won't give you quite a number of experiences that are powerful or amazing. But the fundamental understanding is without anything extra. There's no condiments, no accoutrements. Go ahead.
On divine, this is in a section really focusing on our sitting practice
Yes.
and so my question is, you've often said, don't look for results. How is this?
You can't help but look for results. But when I say don't look for results, just to interrupt you, you can't help but see that you're looking for something. So it's the awareness of what I'm trying to help you with by giving you that kind of instruction is so you become aware of how you can't just stop looking for results. But that's awareness of the activity of searching, of wanting something else to get you closer to it. Yes.
On divine, how does? It seems like what he's pointing to here is that nothing shows up. There's nothing we can do in order to bring that to the cushion into our sitting.
What's your question?
How does this desire for results or always looking for results keep us from nothing showing up, from having nothing show up?
So it's the grasping, looking for something, not the awareness of looking for something. If there's an awareness that you're searching, awareness that you're pushing, pulling, shutting down, or doing something with it, that eventually runs out if you don't double up on it and try to improve and try to stop doing that. Just be aware of it. What will happen, to use the conventional word, and it's not exactly this, but this probably comes closer than anything, is the complete failure of the ego or the consciousness that is still wrapped up in the confines or the walls of the mind, and as a self eventually realizes it's a failure. You cannot do it. It cannot stop it. It cannot explain it. It cannot understand it in the conventional sense. It fails. And the conscious that is still there when that part of the consciousness that is falling apart, that was the thought it was somebody, that starts to come apart, then a sense of humility begins to arise. Not some kind of I'm so humble kind of feeling, but just a sense of just kind of a weakness around the self-centeredness and a fullness around the otherness, because one is still not seen that one is not separate from other. This is still in the past. But until that humility, until that just a sense of failure begins to arise, you're not going to see your true nature. So it's not saying that emptiness of self has to precede emptiness of other. They actually aren't separate from each other. But the path quality of it seems to arise as what is it? Sosotarpa. Is it Sosotarpa? Empty of self. There's no empty, there's no solid being here. There's still something out there. So the idea there is to just practice seeing what arises, noticing how you can't stop it, seeing what arises, knowing how you can't fluff it up, seeing what arises, knowing how you can't get away from it, that it's there. You have to observe whatever's moving in the mind stream. And if you do that, then eventually you see what actually is happening. There is no movement in the mind stream. And why is there no movement? It's an illusion. So it's not what's happening in this room as I wave my hand or this goes through the air is no different than the alligator in the kitchen. I sometimes use that as an example of another part of imagined reality or an illusion. If I say there's an alligator in the kitchen and it's purple and it's floating about 3 feet off the floor and it's facing the window, anyone that's been in that kitchen knows exactly where that's at. And probably if you have any visual imagination at all, you can kind of see it there. How many feet does it have? Anybody want to offer a guess? 4, 5. I just added one. I'm just saying what I'm saying here by this silly image. I'm just saying that's this world. It's just there's a different quality, a different energy behind it that builds this up. Time is irrelevant. The time that it takes me to do that is no different than the time it takes for a baby to be born. It's just time. It's relative. It's still coming out of nothing into something with the help of other so-called somethings. I'm sure I answered your question.
Oh, divine. So if nothing shows up, is that pure karma or pure gift?
I'm not following you.
What I just heard was to sit on the cushion and watch ourselves fail.
Yes. To see that you cannot control this, you're actually beginning to get an idea of what control or the desire to control. And you can control some things. You can move this from here to there, put it back again. So there's some kind of control going on all the time. But the fundamental understanding is you did not invent this. You can control this. You didn't know how many fingers to put on a hand. You fundamentally don't have control. So then in the illusion, the consciousness moves in here and just takes its seat and has power or doesn't have power, depending on the karma that brought you into this life, who your mom and dad were, how much money they had, what color your skin is, on and on and on and on, all things you have no say so about. Observe that, look at that, and then look at this illusion, and then the illusion of the alligator in the kitchen, or your own, just the dream you had last night, completely real while you were having it, and completely unreal. Now, this is also a dream, and you can awaken from this right when you're sitting in the middle of it. Will you awaken from it? I have no idea. You may continue to sleep. Well, please don't hold back. I won't.
In your mind, what is it to fail completely?
To awaken. It's so complete, there's not even anyone who failed. You will not get a credential that I failed. I think I might be awake. Worse than that. It's better than that. Go ahead.
So is there no addition?
So the classical saying for this is that Trungpa Rinpoche used 50 years ago in a talk he gave called Buddha Dharma, or Buddha awakened Dharma, truth without credentials, with awakened truth with no proof. No proof. There is so much so that you don't even know you're awake. You don't realize. You just know that there's no issue, no problem with anything. You're not concerned with outcomes, and yet you do not stop looking at the outcome that I refer to as an illusion. And if people are suffering in the illusion, you try to help them if they let you. And sometimes they'll let you, and sometimes they want you to scram. That's Sanskrit for get out of here. You better laugh at that. You're not going to laugh. Your fiance is laughing. Isn't that your fiance back there? That's not a Sanskrit word. Yes,
I'd just like to pursue this word failure.
good idea.
Isn't failure an opinion or an assessment that we make?
Yeah, that's what ego does all the time, opinionates. Cogitates and opinionates. Failing, just as I was doing, I had it all together and I had it all, and suddenly this went wrong and that went wrong, and it might be your fault, blame. It might be someone else's fault, blame. It might be society, it might be your upbringing, it might be your culture, it might be. But failure. And yes, more?
So what's the standard behind that word failure?
The ego sets up its own standard, or goes along with the standards of society, or the standards of your mom and dad, your family, and how you were taught, how you were trained. Right and wrong. We just recently been through all kinds of people who believe standards, and they don't care what happens to the people around them. They aren't concerned in really being genuine. They just want to be safe in the standard of right and wrong. Well,
So what is the Bodhisattva's understanding of failure?
the only, my understanding, having received that vow and having observed that vow for a while, is there is no failure other than to turn away from the vow. As long as there's the vow, the intention, no failure. There's no success, there's no failure. Nothing happens there. There's just the vow. More about that if you have it. I'm ready.
And so when an apparent failure arises,
Yes,
is there,
spit it out.
is that the nothing that is being talked about here? The
Sure.
power of nothing?
Sure. Sure. What do you do when you see that? The power, that power, there's no power for it to do anything other than return to the vow, be with all things, save all beings, if you want to make it humanist. Save, be with all, whatever happens, that's what needs to happen. It's not that that's right. It may be chaos, but that chaos is dependently arisen. You don't have any say-so about that as far as the outcome. The only say-so you have is consciousness. Consciousness only. More.
And so the being with all things could, which you've said any number of times, mean moving into action right away? Or
It could be any, there's no way to, yeah, there's no way. Stay silent, don't move, begin to do something. Sometimes we get some really powerful insight to something. It looks like we're deciding something, but if we look at it closely, we say we can't help but do that. We have to do that. As a teacher, I have people come this direction that I watch their confusion. Not that I'm such a great sage or wizard. I'm just saying I've been doing this a while. That people come and they bring their confusion to me and they give me permission as a student. And I don't make a choice about this. I don't say, can they handle this teaching or not? I don't think about it at all. My teaching may be even be seen to be abusive and cruel, as you know. But I don't control that. And also I'm not justifying it or validating it. I get to be a meanie because I'm a Dharma teacher, get to do whatever I want. I'm not saying that. Worse than that, better than that. It's worse than that because you don't have any say so. No one does. No one has any say so, but people at some point might get to a situation where they just have to have a say so. So they have their say so. Lock down passion, aggression, and ignorance. Right and wrong are beside the point. There's no right and wrong. More if you have it.
Elena bowing.
Elena, I'll come back to you in a minute. Naveed and Jishi. Go ahead.
Off of what you just said, do you have to block something in order to have a say-so, like a point of view?
Yes. Yes, what you block is that fundamental openness that there's no separate being. There are no separate beings anywhere. There are bodies and minds floating around everywhere, going this way, driving cars, doing all kinds of things. All the things that you've been doing all day long. Those are illusory. I'm not saying you believe me. Don't believe a damn word I say. Don't believe it, don't disbelieve it, and certainly don't ignore it. I mean, if you're in here, you're probably not going to ignore it. But it may not seem valid to you. That's okay. That's still awareness. It may not be, as they say, time for you to move in any other direction. Just continue to receive. And when you receive, sometimes you can't help but say, that's, it can't be, that's just not true. And it doesn't look like an illusion to me. That's awareness. Just like falling asleep on the cushion is not stopping to meditate. That's awareness you're falling asleep. I don't teach, hold this position, or there's a bunch of other techniques that I was taught how to stay awake in the meditation hall. I do not teach those techniques. And why? I'm more interested in you awakening your true nature than I am in having you be a so-called good meditator. Not interested. More?
Elena bowing, Hogan and I were talking about precepts today and it was like, oh, shoot. The,
What did she tell you? What did you tell her?
I guess, at no standpoint is abusing the Sangha. Is that,
It's close. Anybody wanna?
or having a standpoint with Dharma, okay.
No standpoint
I'm
is,
still learning,
what is it?
It's a darn.
is abusing the Dharma.
Having a standpoint or no standpoint? Which one?
A standpoint, having a standpoint is abusing the Dharma.
You tell her that?
It was written.
Oh, okay. Did she read it to you?
I read it to her.
So standpoint, interesting, having a standpoint is that how it goes? Does everybody agree with that? I don't know what it is. I can't remember.
Yeah, 10th precept.
Tenth-
No abusing the three treasures.
No. And so what is it? What's abusing the Dharma? What is no abusing the Dharma? No standpoint. What is no abusing the Sangha?
No self.
Okay, no self. In other words, all these people around you, there's no one here. Yeah, she got one of those high fives. That's the five skandhas and the five skandhas coming together. But the problem with that is, you'll notice, and you got to do it right, because the little fingers always have to be the same. You can't do it with that opposite hands. Just thought I'd give it a little instruction. Go ahead. What's no
I'll leave it
abusing the
going.
Buddha? No abusing the Buddha. What's the next one?
So then I'm just trying to clarify, there has to be a shutting down quality before we can have a standpoint.
Yes, there is. Yeah, you shut down. In order to have a standpoint, you have to shut down.
And that relates to,
Yeah, but
that's how we abuse the Dharma, by
Yes.
shutting down.
yes, but the way we work with that is to observe shutting down, not to stop shutting down. Those are instructions that are meant to help you be aware. This is why Kobun said, you observe, you don't obey. Don't obey anything, just observe that. So that the way that works with your particular karma, causes and conditions that are arising in your mind, and the way you avoid reality. That everything's dependent, there isn't, nothing comes from its own side, it's an individual. It's amazing. It's amazing. You just amazing. But it's not a feeling about it. Just amazing. Further question? Naveed.
Navi bowing. I'm wondering if thoughts, whether visual or audible, are echoes of the things that we see and hear during the day, or they actually originate somewhere else. Bowing.
So you may be correct. There may be origin. We may have some kind of orientation that is the origin of this or that or this or that. But it's not so important to go there, because then that has to have an origin, and then that has to have an origin. This is a way of going in as an auditor, or as a what's that thing that you do? What's it called? You have a degree in it. Accounting. You know, keeping track of everything. It looks good and it feels good, and we get the feeling that we're getting somewhere because everything is accounted for. But it's just going around in the illusion. You're just running around backwards on the Ferris wheel, or you don't want to do that. Maybe a merry-go-round would work better. You could go backwards on that and make you the illusion of getting somewhere. But the whole idea of there even being a source for anything is just part of the illusion. There is no beginning, nothing begins, nothing ends, because it's an illusion. It doesn't have to do something. More?
Navi bowing. Usually when I sit and meditate, what comes to my mind seems like going through channels of a radio or television. Sometimes it's personal, most of the time it's not personal.
Yes.
And that's why I was wondering if there are like echoes that are being created in the mind.
I would say
Um,
probably. I mean, if you use that definition of like an echo, this bounces off that, goes to that. I think there's something, and that just tells me you're doing a lot of meditating. And, or at least it tells me that the meditating you're doing, there's a lot of receiving going on. And you're leaving and receiving by going in and finding out if it's an echo or not, or trying to differentiate between this thought and that thought. Is this an echo thought, or is this the actual sound, or is that an echo of a sound? There's some value to doing that. It just shows that you're working with something that is logical and reasonable and has some kind of relative structure to it. It's not that it doesn't, it's just that to go in that direction, though it can be extremely interesting. And if you find other scholarly kinds of people that want to discuss that, it's can be just a labyrinth of discussion and understanding and sharing thoughts and ideas about it. But what I'm promoting here, if I'm promoting anything, is for you to sit down and do just what you described. Just watch that. And if you can, don't leave it for what it means. Don't leave it for whether it's an echo. Don't leave it for, and don't leave. Just receive the raw material of consciousness as it's arising in terms of your memories, your thoughts, your emotions, your confusion, your clarity, you, all the things that are rising as your mind stream. Don't accept it, don't reject it, don't shut down. And the process, of course, is being aware of how much you accept some things and shut down on others and ignore other things, passion, aggression, and ignorance. But just continue to do that. Just continue. You have a further question, I'd be happy to respond.
Not right now, thank you.
You're welcome. Jishin.
Jishin bowing. I read that chapter which Ondo read at the beginning yesterday, and there were a few sentences which caught my attention a little bit further in the chapter. And they are, when you see a bird, you become the bird. Just seeing it is becoming it. If it were otherwise, this ability of seeing or listening would not be given to us. I was completely speechless when I read this, but I think after our discussion at noon today with your help, I'm just wondering whether is it how we see everything as that bird and become it? Is it the same as seeing that we are everything? I'm not sure if my question is clear.
It's clear. You'd like me to respond now?
Yes, please.
So it can be talked about as becoming, we can be talked about that way, but the fundamental understanding is you never were separate from anything. You never were separate from the bird. And that is a completely profound, there's two things, profound and ordinary event in consciousness. It's not even an event because it's ordinary. So it's just something that shows up like incense smoke moving from the incense burner past your eyes while you're meditating. It's there, it's an event, but it's ordinary, everyday thing. At the same time, it's profound and vast because it's without limit. Because you realize that when you see that incense smoke, everything you see, you just know, it, not relative knowledge, not conceptual knowledge, you know it deeply in consciousness. And that knowing is, it does not involve a knower, as someone who knows it. It's just knowing. So therefore, there's no credential. It is awakened truth without credentials. And it's available to you. It's available to every one of you. If you're listening to me, you don't have to listen to me anymore. Go away. Never come back. But train your mind from now on every day. Sit down, hold still. Don't settle for any authority, mine or anyone. Find out who you are. Sit down, hold still, look at the wall, and watch the mind come and go until you realize your true nature. That which is observing and that which is being observed, whether it's the wall or whether it's somebody walking down the hallway behind you or a car honking out in the street behind you or in front of you or your own thoughts coming, these are not separate things. These are just different dynamics in the same illusion called relative truth. You can actually see this. This is possible for you. I have no proof. I can't guarantee anything. I wouldn't. If I could, I would. That would be a cheap shot. I'm not charging you a cent. What do I get out of this? I don't get anything out of it. I already have everything. I already have everything. I have everything I see is all mine. Everything, everywhere, all the time. But there's no ownership involved because there's no owner.
Thank you. And that ability, the second sentence, that ability to see it was given to us, that we can actually do it, as you are encouraging us. Bowing.
Yes. And part of doing it is seeing how you can't do it. You have to include the failure part of it. It's not even an inclusion. It's just success and failure. Those polarities just start to collapse into each other. Night and day, up and down, back and forth, time and space, past and future, success, failure, life and death. Not separate. If we think they are separate, we'll pick out 2 or 3 of them and we'll fight each other and beat each other over the head with it. Perhaps. Or maybe we'll just run away. Question from anyone on Zoom that hasn't asked a question?
Ray bowing.
Go ahead, Ray.
Hi. I have a few questions. My first one is enlightenment or realization, is it a state or a sort of tantric form, or is it beyond that?
So I don't want to do too many ors here. Otherwise, we're going to need a boat. So
Right.
What I would say is it's not a state, because that means it's separate from other states, and it's not a tantric device, although possible tantric devices or practices may help you go in the direction of fundamental awakening. It's possible. I don't necessarily say those are required. They are just ways of doing this. Some people say you have to practice the Vajrayana or you can't. I don't agree with that, and I practiced that Vajrayana extensively. I haven't done everything, but I've done enough to know what it is. So I would come back to what seems to be your question. I would say it's just consciousness only. So it's not a state of mind, it's just consciousness. It's not a particular consciousness, although it could be particularized by a crow flying in front of you. And it could be particularized by the 2 more crows coming or cawing. Anything that shows up is it. It has its sense of separation, illusion. It has its sense of togetherness or oneness, illusion. Illusion. It's an illusion. Anything you see, whether it's together or separate, whatever it is, even though I teach by saying not separate, I'm using that to get you to look at everything that is here that looks like separate things and see that fundamentally they're not separate. But I'm not saying that they're all together or that they're all one. That's more, it's misleading to go that direction, and it's not helpful. The ego just chews on that like crazy. We're all one. It's an idealization of something. It's not helpful. It's worse than that. Further
Right, thank
question? Yeah, go ahead.
My other question is, can a person change their karma, for example, by doing the metta bhavana practice?
No.
No. So does that mean if I've accumulated negative karma, there's no way to get out of that? I have to pay, basically.
No, there's not. But Maitri Bhavana is your karma. If you're practicing it, anything you're doing is your karma. You don't get to do something that's outside your karma. You can't, just like you can't just suddenly decide to become a Buddhist. I mean, if this shows up in front of you, you won't be able to avoid it. You don't make choices. That's an illusion. If you think you chose to do this or that, like I chose to be here, I chose to be a Dharma teacher. Nope, I did not. I certainly wouldn't do this for a living. I were choosing things, I would go back to being, what was I before?
A zebra?
Huh? A zebra? Yeah, proof of that. Just because of the stripes. The yellow stripe on my back, Howard.
So does
Yes,
that
sir.
mean if I have negative karmas accumulated, does that mean it has to be balanced out by me going through negative experiences?
It's been talked about that way, and my way of saying it comes a little bit close to what you're saying. Just whatever shows up in your life, don't miss your life. If your marriage is going to pieces, or if you're in a relationship that's really coming together really well, or no relationship, or you get a really good job, or you lose a job, whatever shows up in your mind or your life is just receive it as much as you can. This is very hard to do. I practiced many years before it began to dawn on me that I might want to just live whatever life is showing up in front of me. That was not easy. And I was, if I have any ability at anything, it's probably just sheer stubbornness. And another way of saying it is just too lazy to do anything about it. Just stubborn. I'm going to do this anyway. And I have credentials.
Lastly,
What?
yeah, sorry I interrupted you. Go on.
No, you didn't. I'm not
I
gone.
didn't.
I've never been
Okay.
here.
Basically, I discovered tantric practices a couple of years ago. That's how I found you. I found you by luck, I think, and I started doing the Zen practice because I found myself getting stuck in these tantric forms,
Yes.
and now I find it hard to differentiate. Now I sit, and sometimes I can't tell where I'm at, whether I'm in a natural state or not. It's bugging me a bit. I wonder if you had some advice.
Yeah, keep sitting. What do you have a Vajra master or a teacher, a tantric teacher, a lama?
No, I just kind of winged it and figured things out myself. So I was exploring yoga and stuff like that.
Yeah. Okay. Well, you're asking me. I'm saying sit down, hold still, look at the wall, and this is what I would recommend that you do. And
Yeah.
if you're going to practice tantra, get a teacher. That's a very complicated practice. You really need to have a teacher, a lama, or someone who can teach you that. And I don't have any way of telling you how to figure out their credentials, because there are quite a bit of credentials out there.
Yeah. Yeah, I kind of wish that I did find a teacher before I started, because it was there was a lot of negative experiences associated with practicing it by myself.
Really?
Yeah, there was, but it did help me in a lot of other ways too. So
Yes.
I'll continue sitting, and that has helped actually. So I'll just continue doing that, and hopefully that helps more.
Very good. If I can help you, you know how to reach me. And if
Yeah.
you're fine by yourself, then unless your wings are worn out, you keep winging it.
Yeah, I think I will ask for help. I'll think of some questions and things, and I'll come back. I'll get back to you.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for
Thanks
your
so much.
question. Thank you. We have a couple of minutes if anyone in here. Natsumi.
Natsumi bowing. What is the willingness to fail?
I think the willingness to fail, it means that you practice long enough that you can see that you aren't going to be able to ratchet yourself up into enlightenment just by thinking about it or figuring it out, or using your powerful knowledge of the 12 links to the Eightfold Path, or all the structural things that help us go in that direction. Even the Four Noble Truths is a powerful teaching. You have to spend a lot of time on that to understand what that is. It has been said, if you totally understand the Four Noble Truths, you're awake. Life is suffering, the cause of suffering and desire. The goal of cessation of the path is train the mind, Shila, Samadhi, and Prajna. So coming back to your question, it's just, we just see that we can't make ourselves do it. We can't figure it out. We can't do it, even though we're very smart and we're pretty good at thinking about things and calculating, and we understand, maybe studied various teachings that are complicated, and we seem to be able to get that or understand what that's pointing to. You can't just use the mind to do it. It has to be awareness. So therefore, from the mind's area, which is kind of the property, you could say, of ego, it's not totally owned by ego, but ego knows where all the handles and buttons and levers are there, and tends to use it for its own use to perpetuate the illusion of somebody going somewhere. somebody failing. Ego will take any credential, but the credential of failure is more difficult because then ego starts to particularly feel that it may not be doing things correctly. So, and so I would say this is why sitting practice of meditation is so important. Just continue to do that and go ahead, and the failure will come up and then it'll fade out, and then the sense of failure will come from another direction. And just receive it, receive it, receive it. Whatever shows up, receive it. More. Mhm. Further questions in here?
When you're bowing, what is power?
I think it's a laundry detergent, isn't it?
I don't know.
What do you want to know? You know what the word is, so what is it you really want to know?
How does nothing have power?
Because the very nature of consciousness, is misunderstood by the grasping, rejecting, and shutting down that is using the objects in consciousness to hang on or control or manipulate. And so this is where the teaching of emptiness or shunyata, to begin to see that everything that arises is empty of what you see, observe, smell, taste, touch, hear, think, feel, remember, or analyze. All of that. It's empty of that. So it's moving us towards a fundamental openness, which is consciousness only, which may have all kinds of birds flying through, back and forth, clouds moving through, back and forth, to use that image. But it's just like the sky, mind like the sky.
So does, when you're bowing, is there any quality or characteristic to power?
I don't know, maybe.
Energy, a feeling?
Anytime you go into any of those words, we get trapped in the otherness and trapped in descriptions and ideas and textures and all of the other paraphernalia or qualities that show up in the illusion, even if they're very close to what we might refer to as emptiness. It's still a very seductive area. I'm not saying you couldn't go there and write a book about it. Maybe, especially someone who's meditated a long time, would be very good at using those kinds of words to talk about. There's several books out there on wisdom and on yogacara and so on that are circular. They look pretty good. They sound pretty good. They sound erudite, smart.
When you're bowing, so those apparent persons that show up throughout history, such as the Buddha, or any of a long list of people who seem to have a charisma about them, is that power?
Well, probably is. Power doesn't belong to anyone. So the whole idea that someone who's really powerful must be good, or someone who's really powerful who is showing up as bad or evil or controlling, somehow that something has gone awry there. No, nothing's gone awry. It's just the nature of relative truth. It doesn't buy good and it doesn't sell evil. It doesn't sell evil and it doesn't buy good. It's not a transaction. But when human beings, confused by the nature of what this is, try to control or transact things, then we get caught in the warp and woof of relative truth. And some people fail, some people get ahead relatively, but then it will turn around and those same people who are getting ahead the next time are failing. Happening right now, you can see mirror images of it. You know, like you've been reading about the what's his name? Timothy Snyder's books. The Bloodlands, and what's the one you're?
The Black Earth.
The Black Earth. These just horrible situations of human beings mistreating others. All those people are gone. They've all passed away. The ones who did the mistreating and the ones who were mistreated. They're gone physically, but that energy is still in consciousness, and it's still looking for results, revenge, and all the other RE words. Rebirth. It's circular. So that's why it's so important for you or for me to realize what this is now, so that the next time you get up off the couch to walk towards the the kitchen, you realize that you're in an illusion. This is not real. Not something you believe that it's not real, but you can actually see the unreality of cause and effect yourself. And you'll see that through watching what comes and goes in the mind and seeing that that is unreal. Takes a while. Final question? James,
Name's Bowling. If uh is trying to or if nothing's real, why not just go live in the woods? Just give up everything.
it's not that kind of unreality. James, the woods itself and everything that you just referred to is also unreal. So yeah, I would say go live in the woods.
Uh,
I mean, it'd be all right to live in the woods, and while you're out there, you might want to hold still and pick out a nice size oak tree and look at the trunk at it for 7 or 8 hours a day, or maybe more. Realize your true nature, because this body mind that you are in or I'm in, these do not last. This all goes back into the elements, back into earth, water, fire, and air from whence it came. Eventually, maybe not this year, next year, but eventually. But before that happens, find out who you are. We'll get your identity from me, from Buddhism, anything. Find out, look at your own consciousness coming and going. Watch it. Don't grasp it. Don't reject it. Don't shut down. And the practice of awareness is seeing how you can't stop from grasping, believing, rejecting, disbelieving, or shutting down, ignoring, turning away, and distracting. Those are the 3 poisons as have been taught for 2,500 years and before in the Buddha's Dharma. You can do it. You do it with your mind. You do it with your consciousness. We call it meditation, or in our dynamic here, in our practicing, we call it chikantaza. Just precisely this. Sit down, hold still. Whatever happens, that's your object of meditation. You don't have to follow your breath and create some kind of artificial meditator that won't last more than 20 years or so. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you.
thanks.
We'll stand and dedicate the minute. May the merit of this penetrate into all places, so that we and every sentient being together can realize the Buddha's way. Ji-ho san shi shi fu shi son bu sa mo ko sa mo ko ja ho ro mi. The 10 directions, the 3 times, all Buddhas, all venerable ones, Bodhisattvas, Mahasattvas, the great Prajna, Paramita. set up for the for the TV service.